Hey Scrapmart friends, this is Jen from the design team. I'm working on a scrapbook page layout today, and I'm using this fabulous Jilly Bean Soup paper. I'm scrapping some Easter pictures. This paper is from the Egg Drop Soup collection, and it's called Ground Ginger. So I'm going to zoom in and show you what I'm going to do with this piece of paper. I want to cut a large background scallop shape, and I have in my Eclipse the birthday and beanpole alphabet cartridge. And I found if I pull the remote up to the screen, I can get better resolution for you all. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Let's see. How's that? Okay, now it's a scallop circle, and I'm not sure what category it's under. I've got beanpole, font, food, fun, and phrases. But I'm not sure which one it's under, so I'm going to just hit the search key, which is right here on the keypad, and I'm going to type in scallop. S-C, oh, and look, it already found it for me. I didn't even have to type in the whole word. So I'm going to hit OK, and it pulled up this scallop circle. Now you can see there is an image inside of it that says let's party, or a phrase I should say, and I don't want the phrase, I just want to use the background shape for my page. So I'm going to go over to the left hand column by using these arrows on the right side, and you can see that it gives me a solid option. That's the option I want to choose. So I'm going to hit OK. The size is set to 11 inches, which is what I want. I could go down or I could go up here. So we're good at 11. Hit OK, and now I'm going to hit my plus button, and that puts it in my cutting queue. All I need to do now is hit the scissors and let the machine do all of the work. Now for the Jilly Bean Soup papers, I have my blade set to 3 and my pressure set to 3 as well. So it's using up almost the entire sheet of paper for this big scallop circle. Okay, now it's done. I'm just going to unload. Okay, and I'm going to show you what a fantastic clean cut we get. Oops, see, I'm working around the tripod, so let me zoom out a little bit. Try and show you the entire cut. Look how easily and perfectly that comes off. Isn't that pattern just darling? It's going to look great on our page. What I also want to do, just to give this a little bit of depth and dimension, is cut a shadow for this background. And so I'm going to choose a pink cardstock in this color, and then we can cut the shadow. Okay, I'm back, and I have my pink basil cardstock all loaded in the Eclipse machine, and on the remote I still have my same shape picked, but I'm going to use the down arrow on the right hand side to choose the shadow for the shape. And so that way it's going to be just a little bit bigger than the cut of the Jilly Bean Soup paper to give it a little bit of definition and to separate it from the background on the page. So now I'm going to hit OK. It's at 11 inches, and I don't want to adjust this because I want to keep it the same. So that's fine. I hit OK, and I'm going to hit the plus sign. That adds it into my cutting queue. And again, the scissors will tell the machine to cut, and the machine will do all of the work. Okay, and here is our layered shape. Isn't that great? Fabulous options that you have with the Sizzix Eclipse machine. You can make any image as large as you want to provide a great background for a scrapbook page. What fabulous impact this has. So you don't have to worry about shopping for die-cut paper already. Whatever pattern paper that you choose to use, you can go ahead and cut it to fit your scrapbook layout. So let's go ahead and get started on putting our scrapbook Easter layout together. Okay, I'm back, and I placed my Sizzix Eclipse large flower cut just on top of a piece of chocolate brown cardstock. I had it on top of another piece of pattern paper, but it was just too busy for my eye, and so I picked up the brown and the rooftops and tree trunks, and I think that this looks a lot better. I just added a strip of some coordinating green paper just to break it up a little bit. And then I cut the Easter title off of the holiday cartridge. How cute is that? And I don't know if you can tell, but I inked the edges just slightly with a Copic marker. I love using my Copic sketch markers to add inking or chalking to the edges of a project. The markers are so much easier to use than a chalk pad when you're trying to get into those little nooks and crannies in the cut. The marker that I used was RV00 Water Lily. That's a sketch marker, so I just used the sketch tip, which if you haven't used these, it's just kind of a pointed brush tip, but look how fine that is. I can get inside all of those little nooks and crannies without worrying about trying to squish an ink or a chalk pad in there. And you can always add more, but you can run it over the edges. Let's see, make sure I'm getting the camera. And it can get inside all those little crevices without a problem. And I can go over top as well. No worries, we can blend it in. So you can go all around the edges. And I'm going to go ahead and do this just to add a little bit more of a significant inking effect. It was a little bit light the first pass that I made with it, but I always like to start with less and then go back and add more, because once you put too much on, it's hard to turn back. So anyway, you get the idea, but this is a great way. If you're used to using little chalk pads, you'll know if you're trying to do something like this, it can get very tedious and time-consuming and frustrating. So just get out a Copic sketch marker, use your brush tip, and run it along the edges, and you'll get the same effect. Okay, so I'll finish that up in a moment, but I also did the same thing to the edges of the photos. Again, just running the sketch marker over the edges, just to give it a little bit of definition. You almost don't even notice it, but the difference, I should have videoed before I went ahead and did that, the difference on the page really makes it a little bit more pleasing to the eye. So I think what I'm going to do is raise up the Easter title with some pop dots, and that way it'll give me a little bit of a shadow too to help it stand out against that pattern paper. And then I've got one photograph that I think I'm going to place here, another here, and I may pull it down so we can expose a couple of those chicks. But let me get this all adhered down, and then I'll be back and we can move on to the next step. See you in a moment. Actually, before we move on to the next step, I just wanted to show you a quick trick that I use to make sure that I am adhering borders or elements on my page nice and even and straight. I have my chocolate brown cardstock laid down evenly on my cutting mat, and this is just a Fiskars cutting mat that's intended for fabric. You can find it in the sewing department of Michael's, Joann's. I've even seen these at Walmart. As I said, mine's made by Fiskars. It's from the Donna Dewberry collection. It's kind of this pinkish color on one side and then a periwinkle blue on the other. So it has the grids on there, so I can just line up from edge to edge and make sure that my elements are going down just perfectly straight. And so I know a lot of crafters use these out there, but if you haven't seen one before, definitely pick one up because they are so handy for lining things up, especially when you're doing two-page layouts and you need to make sure that the elements are nice and even between the two pages. So it's also self-healing, so if you cut through it, it's not a problem, and it also helps protect your desktop from adhesive and that kind of stuff, so you can clean it off very easily. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you in case you haven't seen these. You know, once I got one, I just wondered how I was ever able to live without it. So just a little tip in case you haven't seen these. Back in a moment. Okay, so I have everything adhered down now, and really the only other thing I'm going to add to finish off this page are perhaps a few journal strips down in the right-hand corner. Just a really simple, easy page showing you how quickly you can put together scrapbook pages using the Sizzix Eclipse machine. I really think this page turned out cute. These are photos from this past Easter when my parents were in town. So that's my mom and dad with my 2 boys. And okay, check out how good my Easter ham turned out. I don't even eat it, but it looked and smelled really delicious. Anyway, that's all for today, guys. Thanks for stopping by. And check out scrap-mart.com to pre-order your Sizzix Eclipse today. Thanks for watching. See you next time.